Hello everybody, it is the King of Dragons back again with Link Joker. Yeah, it's Link Joker again. So I'm probably going to go to a tournament on this Saturday, at Sterling, Virginia, 5 p.m. February 10th, Huzzah Jr., Sterling, Virginia, 5 p.m. You want to come there, say hi? Great. I'll leave the address down in the description. I'm stuttering again. I'm sorry, guys. Let's get right on to it. So I'm going to the tournament, and I'm thinking, what all am I going to see there? Obviously, I think I'm going to see Aquaforce, Steeliters, Star-vaders, and other Overlord players, because in real life I do play Overlords, and I've shown you what that deck looks like, and it's still not finished. I do want to add a Ziegenberg. I do want to add 2 Ziegenbergs and a Sibreeze to the deck, but that's the only changes that need to be made right now at this moment. But Star-vaders is one of the main things that I think I'm going to see in the tournament. Maybe not close, but we'll see. So, going on to the starting Vanguard first, I think either Plank or Carbon would be a good choice. I generally like to go for Carbon, because he fills up your field, which isn't always good, but it gives you more resources, like use his skill to call Zinc, shove Zinc to Soul, countercharge, Soul Charge too, and that keeps your supply going as you keep going. 4 Paradigm Shift Dragons, move them to the top of the deck, choose an opponent's back row rear guard and lock it. A free lock, and you get a crit back in your deck. I don't know why you wouldn't run it. 4 Shove to Soul draw triggers. You're probably going to deck out if you don't finish the game fast. And this deck does need a bit of soul, I think. I mean, when I play test this, I've never really had a problem with soul, but I've only had just barely enough to use my skills, and hand advantage is always a good thing. So, 4 Magellanic Streams for fairly obvious reasons. Now you could run an extra crit. Ring. I prefer to run extra crits. You could also run a stand trigger if you so wanted to. But, you know. Moving on to grade 1s. So, grade 1s... No, the grade 2s were the hardest for me. Obviously, you want to run 4 Zinc for that countercharge Soul Charge. If I can find it... Where'd it go? I think I'm blind, everyone. There it is. 4 Penrose Gate. It counts as a grade 3 when you stride a unit with Star-vader in its name. Soul Blast 1, when it's discarded, if you have a Vanguard with Chaos, look at top 7, add it to hand. Add a Chaos to hand. This helps replenish your hand at the cost of Soul, unfortunately. And it's also Stridewater, which every deck loves. So now if I can find the Star-vader Perfect Guard, which if your opponent has 3 or more locked units, you can draw a card. That's just hand advantage. Now, you can do almost anything with the grade 1s. You could use Nickel, which is generally what I prefer to use. But we'll move on and see how much room we have left over. 4 Photons. Placed on rear guard, lock a card. Some people will complain that I don't run what's-his-face. Strange Dragon. Because his effect is only once per turn. And your opponent chooses what they lock. I mean, the whole field is going to be locked anyway. And that boost effect is pretty good, but I prefer Photon. You can run Strange in place of Photon. I really don't care. And it'll probably still be just as good. But I found Photon to be better for my reasons. I don't care. 4 Groberadia. Counterblast 1. Your opponent chooses a card from his drop zone and puts it on rear guard as locked. And then he'll usually get plus 6k. This is good if your opponent doesn't have a full field, so you can't lock everything. So use Groberadia, lock something from his drop zone back on there, and then that's more lock target for you next turn, unless he retires it. Also be careful of Overlord, the new Overlord, because with his new Soul Blast skill, he can retire his own locked units. It gets past resist and it gets past lock. And it doesn't say specifically what fighters. It can be his, it can be his opponent's. For Dubnium, Soul Blast 1, retire this unit. Your opponent chooses one of his rear guards, lock it. That's not why you use him. Counterblast 1, when he attacks, if you have a Vanguard with Chaos in his name, your opponent chooses a card from his hand and may lock it. If he does not, you draw a card, and it's plus 10. So, generally I have this guy in a column alone, so the opponent has to think, does he just want to drop a card onto lock circle, or does he want to have to guard for 10 and want me to plus 1? It's like that it's like the mind game thing. That's always fun to play with this guy. So keep him in a column alone, just so your opponent has to actually think, do I want to drop a 10k, or do I want to drop a rear guard? Or if your opponent has 5 rear guards, which they probably will, then there you go. It's just a free 10k draw. Moving on to grade 4s, we have 4 Star-vader Chaos Breaker Close, which is your main grade 3 in the deck. Choose a card with your hand Star-vader, discard it. When it's placed on Vanguard or when you stride, Soul Charge 1, lock one of your opponent's rear guards. Pretty good, but his other effect is also... I don't like it. Soul Blast 1, when it's discarded from hand, if you have a heart card with Chaos, your opponent chooses a card from his her hand and puts it on rear guard as locked. Now, I don't like it in the sense that it's not good. I don't like it in the sense that if you're going into... Let's see here. Stark? Sorry, I almost said Dust. If you're going into Stark, then your opponent... That's just one less card to guard Stark with. And this guy attacks 3 times. Ring. Unless you're playing Dimension Police and you run Commander Laurel, then this thing can attack 4 times if at all possible. Think about that. 3 perfect cards in your hand, generally. Or just a lot of cards in your hand. Now, if you are playing Dimension Police and you have Stark in your deck, then yes, it's more than likely, almost absolutely going to need 3 perfect guards to block this thing completely, unless you're running Commander Laurel, in which case you need 4 perfect guards. And that's 8 cards in your hand. I don't see that happening. Stark with Dimension Police is just a bit too powerful, in my opinion, but that's a topic for another day. 3 Chaos Breaker Crisis. Now, you could go 4 if you wanted to, but that's less grade 1s. It's a ride target if you don't have Close. Close is your obvious main ride target because its stride skill is better. It doesn't need that big of a cost. Just discard a card and Soul Charge. Compared to a Counterblast. His auto effect, when the opponent's card is unlocked, if no unit was retired, you can retire that unit and draw a card. That's pretty good. Also, another topic for another day is the Ideal Ego Messiah. I don't know, I'll need to test that, but... Now, back to the grade 1s, as I've said, I generally prefer to run Nickel for more draw power. But you can run Metanax, you can run Heliopose, I'm sorry. Moving on to the G-Zone, and this is where I struggle with Star-vader. 1 Althani, this is generally what I use for a first stride unless I'm playing something like... that doesn't like to put rear guards on the board. Then your next stride would be Chaos Universe, which I run 3 of, because Chaos Althani can flip up a Chaos Universe, or you can go into Chaos Universe twice in a game. Or no, I guess you can't, can you? So, that's kind of useless. Then I guess 3 Deluge would be the better option. Soul Blast 1, flip up a copy in your G zone, choose a card in your hand, discard it. So you can go into Deluge twice, or you can go Althani once, Deluge once. But obviously I run forward Glue Ball, because it's Glue Ball. What else? Soul Blast 1, flip a copy out, lock the same number of rear guards as you have face-up card in your G zone. And then it's GB3. All your units with Star-vader in the front row get 3k for each locked unit. That is pretty amazing, if I do say so myself. Because that's plus 15 usually for this deck. Because it locks from the hand, it locks from the drop zone, and it locks from the field. This deck, it's not safe. No deck is safe from this deck. 2 Lacus Karinas. I run Lacus Karina because your rear guards don't matter, usually. Theirs does. So use it. Lock that back row. If you're playing Aquaforce, then... Oh. Hello everybody, sorry about that. Back to the deck profile. 2 Deshagen. Soul Blast 1, draw a card. If your opponent has 2 or more locked units. It's hand advantage. Generally, you won't use it that much, so it could be a flip target for Lacus Karina. Destiny Guardian. Your opponent will more than likely have a full locked field unless you're facing Overlords or Resist. So choose 2 cards in the back row, unlock them, plus 10k shield. And the final card, Stark, in case you couldn't guess. But that is the deck profile. Thank you all for watching. Sorry about the schedule change. Something came up yesterday, so I had to take care of that first. Should be back to a normal schedule from now on. And remember, if you guys want to see me play at the tournament, February 10th, 2018, Huzzah Juniors in Sterling, Virginia. Please come down and see me. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.